In the example of looking at Asian American internalized racism, I'm going to demonstrate in this video how to do some more advanced searches using the intersection of different terms with and or, and also using search history. So first of all, we're going to start with internalized racism, and I'm going to use internal and racism with using the asterisk here. I'm going to do a search here. Okay, we'll see. We have 578 articles that were yielded. And I'm going to search it with Asian Americans. So I'm going to just use Asia. So it includes Asia, Asian American, different terms that follow Asia, and see what comes out. So I'm going to do a search that looks at the intersection between internalized racism and Asia-related topics. So here we can see 69 articles emerge. So this is a way to narrow down your research search to a specific area. After this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to demonstrate a more advanced way, because if we search Asia, sometimes it might not include all the articles that we want. For example, if a study looked at internalized racism among Japanese Americans, it doesn't have the term Asia or Chinese Americans. So if we want to include all the different subgroups or the other types of terms that might be used to describe or capture Asian Americans, it's a little bit more complicated. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to clear this search, and then I'm going to use some of these terms. So Chinese, okay, anything that follows that. It could come, and let's say Japanese or Japan, and let's say Korean, and let's add a few more. Let's say India. Okay, let's add Thailand. Okay, so here are a few search terms. So I'm going to use or. So the difference between and or is that and looks at the intersection. So it had to include both Chinese and Japanese. But if I use or, including one, either Chinese, Japanese, Korean, India, Thai, would emerge in the search. So I'm going to do a search and see how many articles are related to these terms. So here we can find over 300,000 articles emerge when we search for Chinese or Japanese, Korean, India, Thailand. Okay, I'm going to add another one that is Asia. So that would include Asian Americans. And I think more will pop up after this. So let's see how many are included now. So we have a total of 334,000. So a lot of different articles. We're definitely not going to go through all of them. So I did a search that included these different ethnic groups. But what I'm most interested in is the intersection between Asian Americans and internalized racism. So what I'm going to do is I want to search these 334,000 and see how many of these overlap or include with internalized racism. So how do I do that? What you would do is you would go into search history, click search history, and you will see a list of the searches that you've done today. So here I can see the different types of search terms that I've used. Searching internalized racy in the abstract. Here's internal racy and internal racy with Asia. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at internal racy with the 334,000 that came up with Chinese, Japanese, Korean, India, or Thai. And I'm going to search with and. So it's going to look at the intersection between these two groups of terms. So after doing that, let's see what we found. So now we have 84 articles. That includes internalized racism, but also another category that's related to Asian ethnic groups. So using this, it's an easy way to look at the intersection between one topic, which could be a topic, psychological construct that you're interested in, like internalized racism, and then another search that's related to the population that you're interested in. So if you're interested, for example, in Asian American, you can have a search term that includes all the different different terms that might fall under Asian Americans, and then intersect that with different psychological topics.